Welcome to Tafakari. If you're new here, Tafakari is a Kiswahili word that means to ponder, to contemplate, or to think deeply. And it is the intention of this channel to create a space in which we can foster critical thinking, not only for a meaningful life at a personal level, but also, I believe, at a societal level, it's important in helping us devise effective solutions to meet the challenges of our times. So we carry on with our Decolonial AI development series, and today we shall be talking about the coloniality problem in AI development. And to help us understand this, we draw inspiration from an article by Eke et al. That is titled Decoloniality Impact Assessment for AI. And just to honor all the authors, we have Damian Eke, Ricardo Chavarriaga, and Bernd Stahl. And the article is titled Decoloniality Impact Assessment for AI. So I like this particular article because, first of all, it gave a very good idea of what the coloniality problem in AI is for anyone trying to familiarize themselves with it. The second thing, I like that they emphasized a life cycle approach to decolonial impact assessment. And what a life cycle approach enables us to do is to look at coloniality at every phase of the AI life cycle. That is the design phase, the development phase, and the deployment phase. And that way then, we're able to have a holistic idea of how we can design decolonial AI impact assessment solutions. And finally, I liked that they highlighted practical approaches to decoloniality, and we won't look at that today, but in the future we'll do that. Today, we're going to focus on the coloniality problem in AI as they articulated it. And just for context, I think that it's important, even before we go to the coloniality problem in AI, we need to understand what colonialism is. And I know those of us in the global south, whether you're in South America, Asia, Africa, and in Australia where there was subjugation, I know that our teachers did a good job of explaining what colonialism was. At least I know my Mrs. Minor did. But just as a recap, we can really say that what marked colonialism. So I'll speak for Africa here. First of all, we had European rule. The second thing we had was land dispossessions, Africans being dispossessed of the land. The third thing we had was forced labor. We also had linguistic colonialism, that was the imposition of European knowledges. We also had the coloniality of knowledge, and that is essentially the imposition of Western epistemologies, ways of knowing, seeing, and imagining. We also had extractivism, and this is where we talk about the plundering of Africa's resources for the purposes of building European empire. So that's what colonialism was in a nutshell. Now, colonialism ended, but coloniality did not. And what we mean by that is the end of colonialism marked the physical, the physical end of European rule. But it did not mark the end of colonial-like relations. And that is why we talk about coloniality, which is why, as you will notice today, yes, colonialism ended, but in so many global south states, we still have that colonial-like relation. And so that's why we talk about coloniality. That is the endurance of colonial-like structures of power, knowledge, and being. So with that backdrop, it's very easy to understand the coloniality problem in AI development. And I like how they articulate it. And if you want to understand that, the first thing is let's look at it from the lens of power. Power is very simple. Who gets to determine what sort of AI products make it? It's the people who own critical AI infrastructures. And at present, that, or rather for quite a long time, that has been a preserve of the global north. And now increasingly, China. The same thing with who gets to decide, or rather, when we speak about AI governance, who gets to determine that? And it's the same thing, you'll notice that when we speak about AI governance, many people have just said you just need to talk about the global north governance, because those who get to determine that are seated at the global north, and now increasingly China, because of their upcoming, upcoming role in AI development. So that's power. So those structures are colonial-like, because you notice that, never mind we're more than 8 billion right now, very many states in the global south are players in AI development. We still play the role of being recipients of technologies. Let's go to knowledge. Who gets to decide what values will count in AI development? It's the same thing. It's still a global north affair, and increasingly China. But still you can see most global south states don't get to determine what sort of values frame AI development. It's the same thing with imagination, because the coloniality of knowledge also encompasses imagination. Who gets to determine what AI imaginaries look like? As we speak right now, we have the controversial AGI, which is an imagination or an imaginary formed around the idea of giving machines competence along a range of many human tasks. Now, that's not a discussion that was had with 8.3 billion people in the world, the last time I checked the population, but by virtue of the fact that a few corporations own these infrastructures, they get to determine what that looks like. And it's important to highlight what is the composition of these few institutions. If you look at the global north, you realize those at the helm of determining what AI development looks like are white, are male, and are generally affluent. So you can see already with that composition, there is no way that composition can represent all of our aspirations, right? And so that is still a coloniality problem, more so of being, because those of you who are familiar with decolonial work, coloniality of being talks about how humans were ranked according to race, and Europeans were placed at the top, more so the male, and from there anybody, you find your ranking based on your proximity to whiteness. And that's how you have black people going through all sorts of inhumane things, because they were deemed non-humans by virtue of being placed at the bottom of this hierarchical construction. And so you have the same thing right now playing out, whereby you find that it's a monolith, a very small group, homogeneous group, that gets to determine the direction of AI to the detriment of the masses. And then when we look at it from the perspective of being, you ask yourself, who is invisibilized? Who is deemed expendable? And you notice that they bring attention to data workers in the global south who've been doing digital work, and this is a problem, because you find that so many workers moderate content for big technology firms. So many workers label this content, mostly concentrated in the global south. They are invisible. Were it not for the numerous exposés that these workers would have done, would not know who they are. They are underpaid. They don't get enough psychological support. And when you look at the tasks, or rather when you look at the roles in AI development that are highly paid, you can see that they are racially differentiated, so that those are concentrated in the global north, whereas in the global south, you find that tasks that are underpaid, those are the ones that make it here. Let's talk about extractivism. Who is deemed expendable, who is invisibilized? And that needs no introduction. You just need to go to the Congo to find out, the lives of miners, the lives of communities there, whose ways of living are deemed expendable, to continue to fund the growing demand for AI, rare earth minerals for AI development. So that's just in a nutshell what the coloniality problem is in AI development. And it's important to understand this, because I like what Bell Hooks says, you have to name your problem in order to find the solution for it. So for us to even talk about decolonial AI development, we must start by first understanding what is the coloniality problem in AI development, and then it's only after naming that, it is only after untangling that we are able now to chart our way forward. So that is all that I had for today, and until next time, kwaherini.